Mr. Speaker, and still I rise to announce that last night I called for the impeachment of Donald John Trump, President of the United States of America, for threatening judges and for calling for the execution of members of Congress. If ever there was a person who ought to be impeached, it's Donald John Trump. Now, there are many people who don't want to see this happen. They don't want to vote for impeachment. Well, there were people who didn't want to cross the Edmund Pettus Bridge, but they marched on. I shall march on. I've been told that this vote will take place sometime after 1:30 today. I assure you I'll be here for that vote. I will also speak on Friday for about 1 hour after about 11 o'clock. I will explain more about it at that time. This president is a reckless, ruthless, lawless person who doesn't deserve the title of President of the United States of America. I yield back.
Okay, so this is the moment that shows how close we are to an actual impeachment showdown. In December, a Democratic congressman forced a surprise impeachment vote on the House floor. Just forced it, blindsided everyone. And it exposed something really important. There are way more Democrats willing to vote for impeachment than party leadership wants to admit. And Trump is absolutely terrified about what happens if the political winds shift. So here's what happened. Representative Al Green from Texas, a Democrat, filed articles of impeachment against Trump. And instead of waiting for some formal proceeding or letting leadership manage the timeline, Green used a procedural move to force an immediate vote on the House floor. This was in December, completely unannounced, complete shock. And the vote that came out of that surprise motion showed something stunning. 140 members of the House voted to advance impeachment. That's 140 lawmakers willing to go on record saying Trump should face removal. Now, the motion ultimately failed because Republicans voted to table it. But the fact that 140 lawmakers wanted the impeachment to move forward, that's significant. That's 2/3 of the Democratic caucus. And some moderate Democrats voted to advance impeachment too. So this isn't just progressive firebrands pushing for removal. There's a broader movement inside the House that's ready for impeachment. And here's what's really important. When Trump found out about this surprise vote, he absolutely freaked out. Trump immediately told House Republicans at a closed retreat that if they don't hold the House in the 2026 midterms, he will be impeached. Trump said it directly. You gotta win the midterms, because if we don't win the midterms, they'll find a reason to impeach me. I'll get impeached. That's Trump admitting that a Democratic House is basically a guaranteed third impeachment. Trump is admitting that the threat is real. Trump is admitting that Democrats have the goods on him. And that's what this whole moment reveals. The surprise vote in December wasn't a one-time thing. It wasn't just Al Green being weird. It was a signal. It was a warning. It was a preview of what happens the moment Democrats get control of the House. And Trump knows it. Trump is panicked about it. Trump is literally using the threat of impeachment to try to scare Republicans into keeping their majority. But here's the thing that makes this really dangerous for Trump. The GOP House majority is incredibly thin. It's razor thin, just a couple of seats away from flipping. And the 2026 midterms are coming up in November. If Democrats pick up just a handful of seats, they take the House. And the moment they take the House, impeachment becomes real. It's not a threat anymore, it's an actual procedure. Articles get filed, votes happen, and based on what we saw in December, there are 140 Democrats ready to vote yes on day one. And Democrats have the tools ready. There's already an impeachment resolution filed, HRES 353, with 7 specific articles of impeachment against Trump. 7 articles: obstruction of justice, abuse of trade powers, violation of First Amendment rights, unlawful office, bribery and corruption, tyranny. The documents are already drafted. The legal arguments are already written. All they need is the majority. And they're getting closer to that majority every day.
You win the presidency, and we sure as hell are having a successful presidency, I will say that. But even if it's a successful presidency, there's been nothing like what we're doing. We had a very good day 2 days ago, too. But even if it's successful, they don't win. I don't know what it is. There's something psychological, like you vote against. You can win by a lot. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote by millions. We won everything. But they say that when you win the presidency, you lose the midterm. You got to win the midterms. Because if we don't win the midterms, it's just going to be I mean, they'll find a reason to impeach me. I'll get impeached. We don't impeach them. You know why? Because they're meaner than we are. We should have impeached Joe Biden for 100 different things. They are mean and smart. But fortunately for you, they have horrible policy.
So the shaken part of this headline is real. Trump is shaken. Trump is nervous about impeachment. Trump is worried that Democrats are getting close to having the votes to impeach him. And Trump is using his presidential platform to beg Republicans to hold the line. Trump is basically admitting that impeachment is his biggest fear right now. Not investigation, not prosecution, impeachment. Because impeachment is the constitutional tool that can be deployed right now while Trump is president. Investigations and prosecutions have to wait until Trump leaves office. But impeachment can happen tomorrow if Democrats get control. And the fact that Trump is openly warning Republicans about third impeachment shows that the threat has shifted from theoretical to practical. It's not an abstract discussion anymore. It's a real political possibility. It's close enough that Trump has to worry about it. Close enough that Trump has to try to scare his own party into holding the line. Close enough that activist groups are organizing massive protests at the Capitol demanding impeachment. Close enough that 140 lawmakers went on record supporting it. All right, so let's break down what actually happened in December and why it matters. Because the surprise impeachment vote is way more significant than it first looks. So Rep. Al Green from Texas is a Democrat who's been pushing for impeachment of Trump, literally since Trump's first term. Green has filed multiple impeachment resolutions over the years. Some failed, some didn't get votes, but Green is persistent. And in December 2025, Green filed new articles of impeachment against Trump. And instead of waiting for the normal committee process or letting leadership decide when to schedule a vote, Green used a procedural motion called a privileged resolution to force immediate action on the House floor. A privileged resolution is basically a parliamentary tool that lets a member force a vote within 2 days. It bypasses normal procedure. It can't be blocked or delayed. So Green filed it Wednesday night. Thursday morning, the full House had to deal with it. And since Green's resolution was about impeachment, the House had to vote on whether to advance the articles or table them and bury them. And here's what happened. House Speaker Steve Scalise, the Republican leader, moved to table the resolution. That's the Republican version of trying to kill it without having to formally vote on whether Trump should be impeached. And the motion to table passed 237 to 140. So 140 Democrats voted no on tabling the resolution. That means 140 Democrats voted to advance impeachment. That means 140 lawmakers wanted the impeachment articles to move forward. Now, the tabling motion succeeded. The articles got buried. But the vote count is the important part. 140 is a huge number. That's way more support than had been publicly assumed. Before this vote, conventional wisdom was that maybe 100, maybe 120 Democrats would support impeachment. But 140 showed up, 60% of the Democratic caucus, maybe more, because some Democrats voted present instead of directly voting no on table labeling. And voting present is basically a way of saying, I don't want to go on record opposing this, but I'm not going to actively kill it either. So there are probably more than 140 Democrats who could vote for impeachment if they felt like they had political cover. And here's what really set Trump off. The Democratic leadership voted present. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeff voted present. Number 2, Democrat Katherine Clark voted present. Democratic Caucus Chairman Pete Igler voted present. The entire Democratic leadership team voted present instead of voting no. They didn't want to own the decision to table impeachment. They didn't want to be blamed for killing it, but they also didn't want to formally support it. So they hid behind present votes. But Trump could see through that. Trump could see that the Democratic leadership wasn't actually opposing impeachment. They were just avoiding owning the vote. And that meant that the moment Democrats have control, impeachment happens. There's no leadership that's going to block it. There's no procedural trick that's going to stop it. The votes are already there. 140 Democrats ready to go on day one. And what was Trump's response? Trump got scared. Trump got worried. And Trump immediately started telling Republicans that they have to hold the House in 2026 or face inevitable impeachment. So on January 6, 2026, Trump was at a House Republican retreat, And Trump basically said, listen, you gotta hold the House, because if we don't hold the House, I'm getting impeached again. Democrats will find a reason. They'll do it. I know how they operate. They're mean. They stick together. If they get the majority, I'm getting impeached. And Trump was being very direct about this. Trump wasn't saying maybe impeachment. Trump was saying I'll get impeached. Like it's inevitable. If Democrats get the House, impeachment is guaranteed. And Trump is right to be worried because the Democratic articles of impeachment are already drafted. Case 353 has 7 specific articles, 7 different charges: obstruction of justice, abuse of appropriations power, abuse of trade powers, violation of First Amendment rights, creation of unlawful office, bribery and corruption, and tyranny. These aren't vague accusations. These are specific legal charges with detailed supporting arguments, and they're ready to go. And the articles reference specific conduct: Trump calling for execution of members of Congress, Trump threatening federal judges, Trump trying to maintain power after election loss, Trump using executive power in ways that violate constitutional limits. All of this is documented. All of this is in the articles. So the moment Democrats have the House, they can introduce these articles and vote on them. And activist groups are organizing around this. There were massive protests at the Capitol demanding impeachment. Groups like Free Speech for People and Citizens Impeachment are running coordinated campaigns calling for third impeachment. They've got scorecards showing which lawmakers voted to advance impeachment in December. They're pressuring new Democrats to co-sponsor additional impeachment articles once Democrats have control. So there's infrastructure, there's momentum, there's a significant block of willing voters. The articles are drafted, the legal arguments are made, and Trump is terrified about it. Trump admitted it. Trump is publicly warning Republicans that losing the House in 2026 means inevitable third impeachment. All right, so let's break down what all this means for Trump, for the midterms, and for the future of impeachment as a political tool. Because the surprise vote in December fundamentally changed the conversation. First thing, the vote showed that impeachment support is broader than leadership wanted to admit. 140 lawmakers is significant. That's not a fringe position. That's a mainstream Democratic position. That's enough to show that impeachment would pass the House if Democrats had control. And Trump knows that. Trump has seen the vote count. Trump knows that the moment Democrats have the House, he's getting impeached. Second thing, Trump's own admission of this fear is stunning. Trump literally told House Republicans that he'll get impeached if they lose the midterms. Trump acknowledged that impeachment is real and imminent if political conditions shift. Trump is using the threat of impeachment as a motivational tool to try to scare Republicans into holding the House. That's how scared Trump is. That's how real the threat is to him. Third thing, the GOP House majority is incredibly thin. Republicans have what's effectively a 2-vote majority after some resignations and deaths. 2 votes. If 2 Republicans flip or 2 Republicans are absent, it's a 218-218 tie and the motion passes. Democrats need to flip just a handful of seats in 2026 to take control. And most political analysts are predicting Democrats are in a better position than Republicans going into the midterms. Fourth thing, the articles are ready. Reserve 3553 is filed and waiting. It's got 7 detailed articles. It's got specific charges. It's got supporting documentation. The moment Democrats take the House, they can introduce these articles and vote. And based on the December vote, they'll pass by a significant margin. Fifth thing, activists are keeping the pressure on. There are groups specifically organizing around impeachment. They're running campaigns. They're building lists of who voted for and against impeachment. They're pressuring Democrats to commit to impeachment. They're organizing protests at the Capitol, demanding Trump's removal. So it's not like impeachment momentum is going to die down. It's actually building. Sixth thing, impeachment is faster and simpler than other accountability mechanisms. Prosecution takes years, trials take months, investigations take time, but impeachment can happen quickly. Articles get filed, House votes. If it passes, it goes to the Senate. Senate votes. That's it. The whole process could potentially happen in weeks or months once Democrats have control. It's not some distant prospect. It's an actual near-term threat if the political situation shifts. And here's what's really important to understand. Impeachment doesn't require removing Trump from office. A lot of people think impeachment means removal, But impeachment is just the indictment. It's the House charging Trump with crimes. The Senate then has a trial and votes on whether to remove. But House impeachment alone is a massive political statement, and the fact that Democrats would almost certainly have the votes to impeach Trump means that a Democratic House would use that power. Now, there's a question about whether the Senate would remove Trump even if House Democrats impeach. Removing Trump would require 2/3 of the Senate, so 67 senators would have to vote to convict. Republicans have a Senate majority, so removal is unlikely even if impeachment happens. But impeachment itself is still devastating. It's a constitutional rebuke. It's a formal statement that the president committed high crimes and misdemeanors, and if it happens, it will define Trump's presidency. So what Trump is worried about is not necessarily removal. Trump is worried about impeachment itself. Trump is worried about the House voting to impeach him for a third time. Trump is worried about that being his legacy. And Trump is using every tool he has to try to prevent it. Trump is warning Republicans about it. Trump is probably pushing Republican candidates to run on holding the House. Trump is probably going to campaign aggressively to try to keep the Republican majority. But Trump's problem is that his approval ratings are struggling. His job approval is in the mid-30s. Americans are concerned about the economy. Republicans are facing historical headwinds in the midterm elections. The party in power typically loses seats in midterms. And Trump's election performance in 2024 wasn't overwhelming. He won, but he didn't win by huge margins. So, Republicans are defending a narrow majority in a difficult political environment. So the math is not great for Republicans. And Democrats are in a position to potentially take the House. And if Democrats take the House, impeachment is almost certain. Trump knows this. Trump is publicly saying so. Trump is scared. And here's what's interesting about this from a political perspective. Trump is basically saying that Democrats are going to impeach him on partisan grounds. Trump is saying they'll find a reason. But here's the thing, they already have reasons. Jack Smith's investigation documented reasons. Congressional hearings documented reasons. The January 6th committee documented reasons. There are actual factual grounds for impeachment. Trump's not wrong that Democrats would use impeachment as a political tool, but there are also legitimate, substantive grounds for that tool to be used. So, bottom line here, the surprise impeachment vote in December exposed that a Democratic House would almost certainly impeach Trump. Trump is aware of this. Trump is scared about this. Trump is warning Republicans that losing the House means impeachment. And the 2026 midterms are now framed as a referendum on whether Democrats get the opportunity to impeach Trump a third time. Thanks for watching. If you understand what the surprise impeachment vote revealed and why Trump is panicked about the 2026 midterms, make sure you're subscribed to Pump Politics. We break down how the political mechanisms of impeachment actually work. We show you the documents that are already drafted and waiting. We explain why the threat of third impeachment is real and imminent if the political winds shift. Hit that bell notification so you don't miss our videos and join our free newsletter. We're tracking how impeachment momentum is building and what the 2026 elections could mean for Trump's ability to stay in office. Links in the description, and we'll catch you in the next.